pedal, Squadra ECU tune, downpipe, full 3-inch exhaust from Centerline Alfa. She's a dream. For as beautiful and stylish as the Alfa Giulia is, could Alfa Romeo have made some mistakes? Or, dare I say, done things better? You know, I'll tell people until I'm blue in the face that the Alfa Romeo Giulia sedan is probably one of the best petrol sedans ever made. From a stylistic, sporty, and practical perspective. Absolutely. It's just a blast. And that's really not debatable how good of a car this is. However, I do think there are some areas in which Alfa Romeo definitely could have done better. The first area, in my opinion, in which Alfa definitely could have done better was the marketing for this car. I mean, I get the exclusivity of it all. I like the fact that a lot of people, at least in the US, don't know what an Alfa Romeo is. I like that, don't get me wrong. However, I feel like, at least in the US market, this car was marketed horribly, right? I think Alfa should have taken a page from Toyota's book. Toyota is really good at marketing their cars and making people buy, you know, cars that look fast but are slow as I mean, for instance, the Camry, right? The Toyota Camry, the latest one, that looks super fast and super exciting from the outside, but is a Camry on the inside in every definition of the Camry, right? People bought that in droves because it looked great and it was marketed well. Toyota made people think that when you bought that car, you were going to be the hottest thing, right? Even though you were driving a Camry and it was still slow, right? Nonetheless, Toyota sold people a dream. They sold people an image. Alfa could have easily done that with this car. Not only sold people an image, but also delivered on the image, because this is an amazing, amazing platform to drive. So I just feel like that was really a wasted opportunity on Alfa's part. And in some ways, I feel like the YouTubers and the car enthusiasts out here have done more for advertising for Alfa than Alfa has itself. And I think that that's just a little bit unfortunate. So the next category would be the power. And nobody is complaining about the power in the Quadrifoglio, but in the base model Giulias, or I won't say the base models, but in the lower trim Giulias, like the Q4 Ti Sport, as well as the Lusso that have the 2.0 liter engine, the Turbo 4, Alfa definitely, in my opinion, could have done better, right? Now, don't get me wrong, 300 horsepower or 280 horsepower and about the same amount of torque, paired with this amazing ZF 8-speed transmission, makes for a very, very entertaining and lively car that is not a slouch by any means. You know, by any means. However, 300 horsepower in today's day and age with a full-sized sedan, sports sedan, even though this could be considered a compact sedan, is still a little bit on the low side. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that I would have rather seen, or I would have liked to see 330, 350 horsepower from the the lower trim models under the Quadrifoglio. That way there wasn't such a huge gap. And that way people didn't feel like they immediately had to go out and buy a tune and, you know, supplement the car just in order to, you know, keep up with the competition and what else was out there. And don't get me wrong, the Giulia is best in its class when it came out, as far as handling, power, everything. But I'll say this, adding a tune to this car has done so much. It's woken it up in so many different ways, and it's added another level of drivability that could have easily been there from the factory and then compounded upon. However, I think they did really good with pairing it up to the ZF 8-speed transmission. I mean, this thing is just absolutely beautiful. It handles so well, shifts so crisply. This is just it's a beautiful pair of engine and transmission, but it definitely could have been done better. Because if you don't want to swing for the 500 horsepower Quadrifoglio, and no offense to that car because it's absolutely amazing, it is the flagship model. The majority of sales are going to be and have been in the 2.0 four-cylinder. So you got to give something, you got to give people something to kind of, you know, want and look forward to. And don't get me wrong, even the very base model Giulias that are only rear-wheel drive, I think the Lusso, as they're called, no paddle shifters, no sport seats, even those are very engaging cars. But they should have at least given something like the Q4 Ti Sport, right? Which is the middle point between the base model and the QV. They should have given this car a little bit more horsepower. I don't really know how they would have done that, but a hotter tune in the engine, hotter tune in the transmission, or a bigger turbo, right? A bigger turbo, different camshaft profile. You know, there's ways to extract more out of the same engine and platform and configuration without having to completely redesign and redo an entire car. I'm not a mechanical, you know, automobile engineer, but I'm sure that they could have gotten a little bit more out of at least the sportier trims. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this vehicle, and I love everything that they've done with it. And my third and final piece is going to be the dealership network, at least in the US. Now that I'm living over here in Germany, the dealership network really isn't bad at all. I mean, there's Alfa dealers everywhere. For the most part, everybody's friendly and welcoming. I really have not had a single bad experience at an Alfa dealership here in Europe, specifically in Germany, since I've gotten here. But I will say in the US, there is a lot that could be improved with the dealership network. And, you know, I love this brand a lot, and I don't want to seem as though I'm talking bad about the brand, because I'm not. I'm just stating the truth. But the dealership network in the US, depending on what state you live in, can be absolutely terrible. It can be a nightmare. You know, from dealerships just not wanting to work with you at all on warranty claims when you're well within the warranty, to dealerships closing down and just going away completely and not giving their constituency a plan B or an option about where they can take their car. I mean, in the United States, there's already only like 3 or 4 dealerships, Alfa dealerships per state. But even in Texas, as big of a state as that is, the Alfa dealerships really weren't that many. I think there might have been, I don't know, I'm not going to make it up, but maybe 5. And the one in Austin closed down in like 2022 and was sold to a Maserati dealership. So everybody in Austin who had an Alfa Romeo just didn't have anywhere to go anymore unless you wanted to drive all the way to Dallas, which was not a stone's throw away. So Alfa needs to really consider revamping or supplementing their dealership network. So yeah, you know, even with all the ways that I really believe Alfa Romeo could have and should have improved some things with the Giulia and the brand in general. I mean, I absolutely love this car. Driving through the Black Forest right now, and this car is absolutely just eating up the road. It should be illegal to have this much fun. In this package, I mean, it's just, and it probably is. I'm probably doing something that's illegal right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, let me slow down. I'd like to end this video on a good note and say that there's a list of negative things that you can think of for any car of any year, of any brand. But at the end of the day, the Giulia is still at the top of my list.